Adam Silver's new NBA is here. Is this really what fans want? Do people want to see good work punished? We are angry and we're yelling about it. We're ranting about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT, Karalis. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Prime time, Depp and D White on the sideline. Rain and Jays, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I got you covered Monday through Friday. The podcast is free, available everywhere. It's on YouTube. Get into the comment section there. Share your thoughts about what we're talking about here. We're worked up. This started at the end of yesterday's podcast when we were talking about like, oh man, this could be Indiana and OKC in the finals. What a shame for the NBA. And we're like, no, this is exactly what the league has been building towards. And we're all worked up. We're worked up about what it's doing to the Celtics and punishing the good work. We're going to ask the question, is this what fans really want? All of that's coming up. By the way, I'm John Karalis, a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've been covering the Celtics for 20 years or so. And I've written a couple of books about the team as well. And today I'm joined by none other than Tom Westerholm, my guy, Tom_NBA. What's going on, my man?
What up?
Every time you do that, I want to do the Always Sunny, what up? And do the fight milk routine.
Yeah.
For bodyguards. By bodyguards. Shout out to everybody who gets that reference. I'm
personally, I just saw the highlight of Aaron Nesmith throwing down a big dunk, and I saw Drew Hanlen in the background. And I did not know that Aaron Nesmith was a Drew Hanlen guy. So that's a fun little.
Drew Hanlen has an extensive list.
He does have an extensive list, but he's like up and like cheering, like he's pumped.
Yeah.
I mean, go Aaron Nesmith. Anyway.
Yeah. Nesmith, a success story who went from like 27% with the Celtics to now like 44% or something like that shooting. Saved the Pacers in game one.
Yeah.
And as that goes on, we have to ponder the slow demolition of the Boston Celtics. Piece by piece, brick by brick, this thing's coming down. And it's going to be the running theme of this offseason, and there are a lot of tentacles here to what Adam Silver's new NBA vision is. Later on, we'll talk about parity, and obviously you want every team to have its chances, but the theory of it versus the reality of it, I think, is worth discussing.
Yeah.
And is this really what fans want? But I started with punishing good work because this is happening to Boston. But I wrote about this on Boston Sports Journal, by the way. And OKC, the darling now of the NBA, this young team, very young team. What is it, like one of the youngest, if not the youngest teams in the league? Their bill is coming due sooner than you think. Yeah. Next season is the last year for Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren on their rookie deals. And in 2 seasons, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to go, he's already on a max, but he's going super max in 2 seasons. So next season, the season after,
they might offer him some money. It'd be,
I would guess. What's that?
If I were to guess, I would guess.
I would also be in that frame of mind that he's probably going to get the full supermax. Yeah. If there was a super duper max, he would get it. He's getting everything. So he's going to get 35%. The other guy's going to get their, they're probably going to get 30%, or at least 25%. So you get 25%, 25%, 35%, 3 guys. OKC in 2-3 years going to be in the same boat. And that's just 2-3 years from now. Yeah, right. Yeah. This is not like, when you have guys on their rookie contracts, you're supposed to have that entire next contract, that next 5 years, and then you're going to start making decisions after that. No, like this isn't just a Boston thing. This is OKC, the Indiana Pacers. We're sitting there like the Indiana Pacers, Siakam and Halliburton are both, they combine to make 90. Miles Turner is a free agent. They're gonna have to pay him. You've got Matherin's got an extension. You got to pay, like he's getting paid. The Pacers are going to be different. This is coming for everybody. Every team that's done the work. No one's done the work like Boston. No one's done the work like OKC. And what's the reward? Boston with two guys in their prime, starting to tear it down. OKC, you can see it coming. It's only a couple years away with two guys on their rookie contracts. It's coming.
Yeah.
Is this really what the league wants? Be like, hey, you've done great work. These guys are in their prime. Time to tear it up, especially in OKC where they've been notoriously kind of cheap all along anyway.
Yeah, it's really complicated because, okay, so like you said, OKC is almost in the position that like Boston was. What is this like? If you were drawing like a 1-to-1 parallel, is this the year? Is this last year? Is OKC like this season, Boston last year, where it's like you have a window, you better win a title because like things are gonna happen soon, and like this is like, and you if you don't win this year, theoretically there would be next year as well, but after that it starts to get dicey, right? Like that's where we're at with OKC. Like this is
kind of, I'd say
really,
it's like the 2023.
Yeah,
like without the impending trades, but like you're right there, and you can see, okay, in a couple of years this might be problematic.
Yeah, it's tough, man, and I think the point that I made at the end of yesterday's podcast that I kind of keep coming back to is just like, I think there's this big push, right, to like make it as open as possible. And like, I mean, how exciting is, NCAA, right? When you like, you get to it's like anybody could win, the NFL, like it's like
right.
Anybody who goes on a run could win. Like these things are exciting. It does make for exciting storylines. And my thing though, is that like, I think the most exciting is when you catch that lightning in a bottle, is when you have, like I was saying in the last one, that 2016, that like LeBron versus Steph, and it's been building and it's been brewing, and it's guys who just like have gone at each other and at each other and at each other. You're like, Celtics fans won't love it, but like, your 2012 Heat versus Celtics, where it's LeBron and KG and Pierce, and it's like kind of one last ride for this huge rivalry that's defined an entire era of basketball, and it's been year after year after year, and like that genuine, just kind of like, it's almost like an HBO versus like a Netflix thing, right? Where it's like, on the one hand, you have these big epic dramas that have been, brewing for years and years and seasons. And on the other hand, you have like, this was entertaining. That was diverting. Like I spent some time binging that. I don't really remember it super well, but like, I've watched it. It was all right. It was pretty good. And it's like, that's how I feel about the way that the NBA is building right now, where that you get these like, a couple like, that team was pretty good for a couple years there. And, then it's the content, the content churn era of,
this is the streaming era. This is the NBA streaming era
of basketball instead of the prestige era. I liked the prestige era. I'm old and I like the prestige era. I don't know what to tell you.
I like that comparison. I really like that comparison because I think it captures what the league is becoming. It's becoming like, The Bear, right? The Bear was a great show. It had a couple of great seasons. And then the next season was kind of like, okay, it's not quite what it was. And, and then all of a sudden it just kind of like left the consciousness. And it's like, okay, is the Bear coming back? Is it, what's going on there? Like,
yeah,
was it as good? Like, and okay. And that's exactly you're going to have that kind of run. You're going to have like, it's almost like The Good Place, which was network TV, but perfect for streaming because you get like 3 seasons, 4 seasons, maybe. Yeah. You run your course, or like, oh my God, I can't believe I just lost the soccer.
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. Thank you. Oh my God. But like a Ted Lasso, this is very much like, okay, you start, you build up, everybody loves it, you button it up, end of run. And it's like, oh my, I wanted more.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Like, so the perfect team for this era would be a team that's built like The Good Place was built, where it's like, no. We have a bunch of chapters and we have a final chapter planned
Yeah.
from the jump. Like,
Yes.
we know exactly what we're building. And it's like it's this 3-year, 4-year, whatever run. No fluff. No,
Yeah.
you know, like, you're
Done.
yeah, sorry, your 7-year-old is not going to be cheering for the same guy when he's 14. Like, it's just not
That's
happening.
right. That's
But
right.
but maybe he'll remember that 4-year run, down the line.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best case scenario.
Yeah.
And like maybe the next show it involves a lot of the same characters, but it's going to be it's just going to be different. It's not necessarily
Breaking
a
Bad into Better
continuation.
Call Saul is your ideal, where it's
There you
like,
go.
yeah.
Boom. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul is your that's your extended. That's what San Antonio hopes to be. That's San Antonio. They're trying to start their Breaking Bad right now.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens, because Wemby is so young, somewhere in the middle of it, they wrap that up. They go into their Better Call Saul.
No, I disagree. I think that what you have to do is you have to build your Breaking Bad. Your Breaking Bad is built around your Wemby, but then like there has to be like a bit guy in the middle of that who all of a sudden becomes a superstar and can then be your spinoff, right? Your Saul, your Saul Goodman.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Like, so like for the Celtics, like you would need like Derek White's not a perfect example, but you would need Derek White to then become like a superstar of the NBA who can rocket you into your next one because Walter White, Jayson Tatum, and Jaylen Brown are no longer a part of things. And now it's just the Better Call Saul show.
That's so interesting. I think that's probably what somewhere along those lines. That's what the NBA is going to be. That's probably what the NBA is going to. Is this what fans really want? Is this really what fans want? Or do they want Cheers, my favorite show? 9-10 seasons, extended run, retool in the middle, but still have to go extended run, and it ends as a class. It's just always beloved classic. Well, let's explore that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash. The playoffs are starting to wind down. We're getting close to a finals matchup, but that just means a lot of good players, and somebody might score 50. It's something that Dash Pass from DoorDash likes to call they swoosh you score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. All you got to do is place an order of $20 or more, then use the code Wingstop50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. Offer valid from noon to midnight the day after the game. Terms do apply, but hey, if you're going to be ordering your Dash Pass, your delivery anyway, why don't you add that Wingstop50 code? You know somebody's going to drop 50. There's going to be one of those big scoring nights coming. So wherever you're going to order from, that lunch, that maybe dinner, maybe you're having people over to watch the next game, drop that code in there, Wingstop50. Sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this deal and more exclusive deals all postseason long and as the next season comes up. Whenever a player scores 50 plus in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20 order. At least a $20 order, and the code Wingstop50. That's Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. If you want full playoffs coverage, you want it on Locked On NBA Game Night and Locked On NBA. They're both on the same feed. Game Night gets really specific about the game. Locked On NBA gets into the bigger storylines, the ramifications, and all of that. They're both on the same feed. They're both on YouTube. So I like where we're going with this. And maybe today's fans, maybe the younger generation, this very easily could be a younger generation thing. Maybe somebody at the NBA is like, look, man, this is not what the grandpa, old man yelling at cloud is gonna remember. Like, it's changing. We've got to change with the times. I don't know if this is what fans want. I don't know if the fan is, if you're a fan of the Boston Celtics, right? You just, one of the things that I'm like from a Celtics fan perspective, things that I would be most pissed about is the Celtics. You took away their leeway. You took away their margin for error. There was either repeat to win a second championship or nothing, it seems. And now the Celtics they're going to come back worse next year. They're just not going to be as good. Mm-hmm. And maybe you can still say that because everybody's a little bit older, but they're still coming back worse because they have to trade away players for lesser players that make lesser money. You don't have that. Okay, they finally broke through and won a championship. Then they had that season of they didn't know what it was like to defend, and they kind of screwed it up. Okay, no problem. They screwed it up. That happens. Teams don't repeat very often. So now the natural progression would be you've learned the lesson. You learned about the regular season habits. Maybe that December, January was a lot more damaging than we ever thought. So you come back next season wiser and a little bit hungrier, and you say, okay, let's do this now. And maybe they win a championship next season under normal circumstances, not these circumstances. But now you don't have that. The Celtics end up getting screwed as like the guinea pigs of this whole thing. And now Celtics fans, I'd be pissed if I was a Celtics fan, and I'm going to be pissed if I'm an OKC fan. You know, you might get a title out of this. Maybe you get two, but that'd be amazing. But then you have to watch like this dynasty. You're not building a dynasty. You're doing what we just said. You're building a nice run, like a little tiny iconic thing that hopefully people remember. And then you know it's going to be finite and not just tied to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's career. It's just whatever. Like Jalen Williams is going to be playing for somebody else at some point, or Chet Holmgren's going to be playing for somebody else 3 years from now. That's almost guaranteed. I don't know, Tom. If I'm a fan of these individual teams, it's like you're along for the ride, you're invested, it comes, and then all of a sudden you're like, why are we talking about rebuilding already? That's no fun. What fun is that?
It's a very weird, yeah, man. It's a really weird dynamic. I mean, you think about like, you know, like the guys who have like, you know, really put their stamp on the history of franchises, right? Or the guys who've stuck around for so long and who were like, you know, your Dirk Nowitzki's, you know, your Paul Pierce's, right?
Paul
Pierce,
yeah,
just up and down the line, guys who've been with franchises for a long time. And I mean, you know, like, yeah, the money has always been an issue, right? In the NBA, it's always been something that you got to like figure out and work around. And, you know, not everybody's going to be on the same window and all that, but like a well-run franchise has always been able to like mostly like put together teams around these guys that have been able to compete. It you know, Paul Pierce wanted to leave because the Celtics hadn't been able to put a team around him that was sufficiently competitive until later in his career. But then they did, and like that was enough to keep him around. And it wasn't money mattered, but it wasn't like, okay, like, you know, it wasn't this you know, hard cap on how long a team could be together, which
right.
is it's a very strange thing. I will say, I think one thing that the NBA is obviously, I don't know about obviously. I think one of the things that the NBA is probably trying to do here, obviously, is keep the churn going of content. Keep like the whoa, this happened tweets coming, or the whoa, this happened, like these like, you know, these transactional moments that you know drive conversation. And you know, like, I mean, how many people, you know, like build teams on, you know, on 2K or whatever, like, you know, or, you know, build fantasy teams, and then like they want to see that acted out in real life. And this, you know, moves that closer. This makes it so there will be these great reshufflings much more often. And I don't know, a certain kind of fan probably enjoys that to some extent, but you know, Celtics fans justifiably, I think, could feel very much like they got screwed in the process here.
Yeah, well, because they did.
Because they got screwed in the process here.
Because they got screwed in the process. They did.
And that was always going to be the thing, right? There was always going to be teams that like to make this omelet, some eggs were always going to have to crack. And like the well-planned Celtics, the well-planned Thunder, like this should have been a rivalry that went on
God,
for years and years and years. Like the Celtics should have been retooling this summer to be like, okay, We see what OKC is. They're
Yeah.
tough. We gotta get some pieces in to like counter them this way and that way. And then
Yeah.
if they do that, OKC should like this should have gone on for a while.
Yeah.
And it's not going to. It's probably not going to.
It's
At
not.
least not in this iteration.
No, it's not. And I just wonder if okay, I hope the league is not sitting there saying like, hey, we got to buy into this, transactional, coverage that and listen, I can tell you, July is always historically the biggest traffic month in the NBA. I hate to tell people that, and I'm arguing against some facts here. July, since I started the blog in 2006, July was always the biggest month. People want to know trades. They want to know who you getting, trade rumors. That's why your news feed is riddled with the pox of these sites like, oh, Drew Holiday for this 2-time All-Star in proposed trade, and you're like, because that just gets into the ecosystem of Google searches, and people love like, oh, this proposed trade, oh, this trade rumor. It's not really a rumor, and people like me start railing on like it's not really a rumor. It's very much like the kindergarten cop. It's not a rumor. It's not a rumor at all. It's a fake. But the people just eat it up. And if the NBA is just like, yeah, man, the more movement we can create, the more interest we create, and the people are going to find. But that takes away from teams. Like, I don't know if we're fostering the individual, like just following individuals around, and no one's going to be fans of teams like anymore. Where people are, but you're like, again, we're going to use the Jaylen Brown example. I don't want to trade Jaylen Brown. The Celtics don't want to trade Jaylen Brown, but it's probably going to happen this summer or next, right? Probably next summer, but trading Jaylen Brown is likely to happen. Something that nobody wants is likely to happen because of this system, which is crap. That's crap. And there are plenty of people who are listening to and watching this show that love Jaylen Brown. And what are you going to do? Like, if Jaylen goes to Dallas, are you going to become a Dallas fan because you love Jaylen Brown and you want to watch him play? And you're like, I'm going to root for Jaylen Brown to succeed. So you start to be like, yeah, I want Dallas to win. I'm becoming a Dallas Mavericks fan and a Celtics fan. I don't know if this is the way. I don't know. Is this how things are just going to go? Is this going to be how the league operates? Am I just being an old? Answer that in a second, because it feels like chasing players around the league. That's parity in theory. Is like, hey, everybody's got a chance. The reality is no one's going to be a fan of these teams anymore. It's just going to be fans of individual players. We'll touch on that in a second. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out the Locked On NBA Big Board. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow reacts to every workout, interview, rumor leading up to the NBA draft. We know that draft coverage is huge, and it's no better than on Locked On NBA Big Board. You can find it on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, Tom, this parity in theory, which is, hey, everybody gets a chance, versus the reality of, hey, we're going to strip every team of one of its good players, and we're going to send that player to somebody else. So everybody, OKC, you love Jalen Williams, you love Chet Holmgren. Well, he's gone. Bye. Like, okay, so now where? Like, Anthony Edwards, probably going to stay in Minnesota. But like, if you like another one, like whoever that player, that second player that you like, gone. Somebody's going to be gone. And I don't think that's particularly great.
I think it's going to be weird, because I do think that one thing that's going to happen is like, first of all, I do think that we are underestimating the general way that people just kind of get used to things. Like, I do think that there's going to be some level of just like, yeah, it's going to be weird for a bit. And Celtics fans are going to be among the most pissed off fan bases about this, justifiably, because this just hit them harder, I think, than any team in the NBA by far, until it hits OKC in the exact same way, right?
Yeah,
so those are the teams, those are the eggs that got cracked. I think that it is plausible, right, that what this, I mean, you could see a pathway to this creating then a deeper relationship between a fan base and one superstar player, right? So like if you're a Minnesota fan, you don't get attached to your I don't know, Jaden McDaniels or whatever it is. Don't get attached to these guys who are on the periphery, because like everything's going to get mixed around. There's going to be this churn around these guys. But maybe Anthony Edwards is your through line between all of these teams that you try to like put together contenders with. I don't know. Maybe Anthony Edwards sticks around for a long time because, you can only afford to keep one player a long time. And you're like, well, I want to keep that guy, right? I don't know. Maybe that's.
I see it.
That happens. I don't know.
I see it. But I feel like that was going to happen anyway.
Sure.
No matter what. But yes, being the guy that survives the sell-off, you're like, oh God, okay, let's hang on to the leg. Like, Jeff Van Gundy and Alonzo Mourning, just hold on to the leg. Be like, okay, Jayson, you can never, ever go. Like, fans can do that. Sure. But I don't know. I feel like you're right. People get used to things, and there's going to be like
the bigger point. People
will get used to it. People will get used to it. But will it make the league better? I don't know. I don't know if the constant, popcorn popper of like, okay, here goes the Celtics, there go the Celtics. Here come the Cavaliers, there go the Cavaliers. Here come the Pacers, there go the Pacers. Here come the Magic, there go the Magic. Like, is that going to play to the short attention spans of everybody now and being like, okay, that's great. Who's the contender now? Who's the contender? Or is it going to be like, I thought this team was good and now they're bad? I can't keep up.
Yeah. I think there's a big danger of that. I think that like when Jaylen inevitably does get traded, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are like, wait, I thought Brad was a good GM. Like, this is stupid. He traded a good player, and it's going to have to be like, no, he is. And you're right. Like, yeah, Jaylen's great. And like Brad, I guarantee you Brad did not want to trade this guy.
And this is going to be the killer for Brad. Every trade you make now for the next 2-3 years, you're minimizing the damage.
Yeah.
You're not trying to put a team together. You're minimizing the damage caused by this system. Like,
with trade partners who are aware that you are like,
yes,
off, dude.
It's like walking into a car dealership and being like, yeah, I got to buy a car today and I don't have many choices and I'm leaving here with something. So, what do you got for me? And you try to negotiate and they're like, well, sorry, buddy, this is the best we can do. Take it or leave it. And you just got to hope that you have players good enough that maybe get a couple of bidders, but no one's going to go overboard. And look, Jaylen is going to get what Jaylen will get. Let's just pretend that, but it's still going to be, that's not when you wanted to trade Jaylen, right? There's a time and a place to rebuild and pull the trigger on the rebuild, but it's not when it's going to happen for Boston, not historically. And that's the thing. Like, Brad is going to have to trade Holiday and get back a player that you're like, okay, this guy's going to have to do. Not only that, like, I've been looking at trades like, okay, can you find a way to get Colin Sexton in here? And like, okay, yeah, Colin Sexton's a fine player. I like Colin Sexton. It's nothing crazy. He's not going to change anything. You're like, and he's also an expiring deal. Like, I'm looking at expiring players. So next summer you have the option of being like, hey, that was a nice season, Colin. That was great. You really showed something there that maybe a step forward in your progression as a pro. Hopefully wherever you go next, because Celtics have to, cut more salary. You got to get under the tax line. at some point, so it's really not this reality of parity. And the other thing that the reality is, I feel like having the team to fight against has merit. The NFL is a juggernaut no matter what. But when the Patriots were winning all the time, I thought, not only did I think it was great because I was like Patriots fan and I got to wear shit and be like, hey, here's my Patriots stuff. It was, the league had something to fight against. Everybody hated the Patriots and everybody was unified in hating the Patriots. And there's value to that. There's value to having a hated somebody at the top. So when they get beat, everybody's like, yes, you slayed the giant.
Yeah. Or better yet, you get two giants and then you have two giants hitting each other like, drum roll, 2016, LeBron James, Steph Curry, one of the best finals of all time.
Yeah.
Like, just like,
right.
Yeah.
But like,
giants are important. You want giants.
You
want, they're great. You like,
I think there's value to
they elevate your league.
I think there's value to a team that's just a monster juggernaut that is like, oh God, you got to take them out. How do you take them out? How do you? Teams are built to take these guys out. There's a built-in storyline of like, even if it was the Celtics, you're like, oh, those arrogant jerks. Oh my God, I want to knock them down so bad. And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Be that. And if it's the Knicks, oh God, the Lakers, everybody loves to hate these teams. You don't get that. It's just this parody for the sake of parody there's the potential for it to get a little boring.
Yeah.
I think like, okay, so who is it this year? Okay, it's Portland's good now. Okay, that's great. Portland's good now. And so we're going to Portland and, New Orleans conference finals. You're like, okay, I guess that's good. And then,
yeah. Well, and you run a risk that Major League Baseball has run into too, right? Where you have Major League Baseball has a 162 game regular season. And if you're a team that gets hot at the right time, you can pretty much, like, if you made the playoffs, like, and you were a lower level one, you can pretty much invalidate that 162 game regular season. So
that's
like, if that's what's going on, then what about your 82 game regular season in the you need those Christmas Day games to have these huge matchups, to have like, okay, these are like our marquee matchups where this team plays this team. But it's like, if anybody could win the title, like seed 1 through 6 or whatever, like, I don't know, like it's going to be harder to build that marquee, that prestige.
Right. That's right. No, that's right. This anybody can make a run, like you said, from the 6th seed. Well, I mean, we're looking at it right now with India as a 4 seed. There's that's why these playoffs are like
you and me. Wait, let's not say anything that's going to disparage our close personal friends, the Indiana Pacers.
That's right. But like, if a team is coming from that 6th seed, and like, what's the point? What is the point of 82 games? You've put in this in-season tournament to make every game matter, but look, the Celtics are gone, the Cavs are gone. OKC, okay, they're gonna make it. Okay, that's the one. That's the one team. Yeah. But like, what happened to this? Like you said, the heavyweight matchup. What happened to that? There's the regular season. I keep saying the regular season lied to us. And that's more because of the way that the league decided to officiate the playoffs, and it just changed the game. But if you make it so seeding is like, every team is kind of good, and no team is great, okay, then what's the point of getting the top seed?
Right.
Maybe that leads to more rest. Maybe that leads to you're creating more problems. There's always going to be some sort of problem, an unforeseen circumstance. You're like, oh, we didn't expect this to be the case, and they're going to have to tweak and tweak and tweak. I'm not sold on this system. I'm just not sold on this system. I'm not sold. Another thing, this is probably a topic for another podcast. The structure of max salaries has become outdated now. This new system has changed. Guys can get Supermax for making third team All NBA.
Yeah.
Well, you've added the 65 game rule. So guys are being like filtered out. So there's going to be some weird numbers, weird people kind of getting in there, making their third teams, getting eligible for Supermax, and like they're really good players. And team's going to be like, I kind of have to give it to this guy, I think. And like, so Jaylen Brown, was he a Supermax player? I think I think maybe 30% instead of 35%, sure. 28%, like still a ton of money, still an absolute crap ton of money. But like 35%, man, that extra 7% could have been huge. So like, do they have to revamp the qualification system for Supermax? You have to make a first team, or you have to win a major award, not just third team. And I don't want to disparage third team, but like we're getting to a point where a lot of players are going to be making third teams, where because of the 65 game rule, I think the way salaries are handed out are going to have to be changed. I think the incentive system is going to have to be. I think it's going to have to come into play more, where a guy like Jaylen, whoever that is, or maybe like Jalen Williams, or maybe Chet Holmgren. You say, okay, Chet, you've been great. You've made an all-NBA team. You're eligible for Supermax. We're not going to give you the Supermax. We're going to give you this percent. But if you make this, we can incentivize you up to 35%.
Right.
But you got to save 35% for your number one guy. And if one of these guys on the rookie contract is going to become the new number one guy and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to go as he turns 30, like, okay, incentivize that player. There's going to have to be something where the second guy, the third guy doesn't make as much as they do right now if teams are going to put together long-term winners. That's going to have to change.
I really hope what I hope we see is like a 3-team, like we see like 2 35% and a 25% guy, and then the rest of the team is just like 10-day contracts for the entire season. Like I want to see a team like that, or like like guys
Somebody will do it.
Yeah.
Somebody's
going to try it. I'm excited to see that team.
That team is like three big money guys and a bunch of minimums.
Yeah.
And you just hope that you get like, okay, here's our defensive guy, here's our shooter, here's another shooter, and you're like, let's roll with it. I don't know, man. It's going to be a very interesting kind of progression. I don't think it's going to go the way the league necessarily wants it. We've gone 38 minutes, and we haven't touched on the fact that the real reason why they did this was to initiate a sort of hard cap, which is part of why all of these players are going to go all these different places. I don't think this is like, I get the hard cap. I get it. And maybe all the salary stuff that I was talking about is going to have to play into that and how to maneuver future salaries. But I think the next few years are going to show us like, okay, unforeseen circumstances, the league's going to have to shift. The players are going to have to get involved. They're going to have to negotiate some of this stuff. They're going to have to change some of these things. It's just a matter of what the league tweaks and doesn't tweak. And the unfortunate reality for Celtics fans is whatever tweaks are coming, it's going to be too late to save this iteration of the Celtics, which sucks.
Yeah. Which
sucks because Brad did it all right. I think he did. Brad and Danny Ainge too. They did it all correct. They did even the mistakes, like the Dennis Schroeder, like they got off of those. They got off of Tristan Thompson. They got off of Enes Kanter. They're like, okay, this didn't work. Boom, done. No problem. Our bad.
The good news about Enes Kanter is that you would not have had the money to pay Desmond Bane, so like you don't have to worry about that.
Still bitter. All right. Well, we'll see how this all plays out. Tom, appreciate you. Thanks for hopping on.
Appreciate you, man.
I do appreciate you listening, watching. Thank you so much. It's just a wild system. There's so much. This is an unprecedented time. There's so much that's changing about the NBA. When we go back, when I'm hopefully 90 years old, and we go back and tell the story of the NBA, this is as monumental a change as there has been in the league as far as the way it does business, how it's trying to present itself, and all of that. So it's going to come with growing pains. I don't know what's going to end up being good. I don't know what's going to end up being bad, but it's going to be interesting, I guess. So stick with this podcast. We're here 5 days a week. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcast, whichever app you are using. Thank you so much for being an everyday or being with me 5 days a week. Get onto that YouTube page, get into that comment section. And then I would love it if you shared the podcast and told everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.